to recap 16 and Pregnant. So
unless there's a particularly interesting episode, in which case we might do just, you know, a separate review. But for 16 and Pregnant, we'll probably just do every 3 weeks.
Yeah. So this week, so far the 3 girls have been Autumn, Maddie, and
Molina.
Okay. So let's start off. Who was the first girl?
Maddie.
Maddie
is from our own hometown. Well, a suburb of our own hometown right here in Chicago. Basically, I found her to be ridiculously immature and pretty much a brat. Personally, is how I felt about her. But then again,
I didn't really like her.
She's 16 or 17 or whatever. She's a teenager, so you know a lot of teenagers are brats. But and then her mom, I didn't really agree with. Her mom, the episode starts with us basically finding out that she got pregnant from a one-night stand that she had with a guy that was a rebound because she had just broken up with her boyfriend. So she really didn't know the guy at all. They had never been on a date. They had only known each other for like 30 minutes before they hooked up. And she ended up getting pregnant. Skip ahead 7 months because she's now 7 months pregnant, and her mom has just had a baby 2 or 3 months prior to when the episode aired. So her mom has a newborn in the house, and she's basically telling her, I'll give you 30 days to live in my house after you give birth, and then you have to leave. And then her mother says, and this is the part that I took such a problem with, she said, you know, well, I always told you if you got pregnant you had to move out. Like, I feel like, you know, I'm not saying that anybody should condone their child just getting pregnant or that they should promote it at all. But to say that your child has to leave just because you said something is really petty in my personal opinion, you know. But to each his own. But anyway, so in the meantime, the parents of the young man that she got pregnant by are basically telling her, you know, you're more than welcome to come live with us. We'll make a room for you and the baby. You know, we'll take our dining room and put up a wall and a door, and you'll have your own large room for you and the baby. You know, it doesn't matter that you're not with our son. You don't have to sleep together, whatever. We'll do whatever it takes to make you comfortable. We just want you and the baby to be happy. His family actually seemed like wonderful people. So she's trying to make an effort to get to know the guy, so they go out on their first date. And I guess an argument occurs because he wants the baby to have his last name. And she feels like because they aren't in a relationship and they aren't together, that the baby should have her last name. Which Danny and I kind of don't have
the same views.
Differing views on it. I personally feel like if a child's father is in his life, then they should have the father's last name. If he's being a man, he's taking care of his child and taking care of the responsibilities. It should have the father's last name just because that's his child and that's traditionally how it would go. Danielle feels
I don't know, I just feel like, you know, she's the main one that's going to be caring for the baby. She's going to be with it, you know.
That's true, but it didn't have to be that way.
But since the baby is, I mean, it didn't have to be, it would have been different if she would have moved in. But I guess she feels like she doesn't really know him too well. So that's why she'd rather the child have her, you know, last name than to, you know, give him a different last name, because I mean that child is gonna be with her most of the time, so that's how I kind of see it.
I personally feel like in that type of a situation, the only reason why you wouldn't give the child the father's last name is like a pride issue, because you wouldn't want people to know that you're like an unwed mother or whatever. But I personally feel like who cares what other people think? There's a lot of unwed mothers or whatever. But I mean, I definitely don't think that the baby should have the father's name. If the father's not involved and he's not around, then yes, definitely. But if he's a father to the child and he's actually in the child's life, I think that it's, well, I mean, to each his own, honestly. You know, whatever is best and most comfortable.
It's the mother's call, you know.
It is.
She feels like the baby should have her name, then so be it.
But I don't think it was right that they couldn't even have a conversation about it. It was like he tried to express his opinion.
Well, I mean, they're only 16, yeah. So, you know.
But I feel like when you make a choice to have a child and bring a child into the world, you can't just be a 16-year-old anymore, you know. And I think that's
true.
That's what the purpose of the show is, to show teenagers, you know, your teen years stop when you have a baby. You have to be mature. And usually the girls, I will give it to the girls with 16 and pregnant, for the most part, they step up to the challenge and they grow up quite quickly. Usually the fathers don't, but the mothers do. And I think I had such a problem with this particular episode because it seems like she didn't really respond in that way. She was just so immature. And that's not something that we generally see from the moms on 16 and pregnant. She just seemed to be very selfish about every decision she
I definitely think it was bogus how she didn't, at least try to live in the house that, the baby daddy, had fixed up his parents.
Because they asked her several times.
Yes, and it's like they're putting in money to construct.
They built an entire room. They gave up their dining room in their home. And they asked her several times. They said, it's not a problem. The money doesn't matter. It's just don't have us do this if you're not going to move in. And she literally told them after they had already done it that she was moving an hour away. So not only is she wasting their time and their money, but she's taking the child away. Like they're an hour away to Indiana. Which, parts of Indiana are pretty close to Chicago, but an hour, at least an hour away. So he's working like 2 jobs to try to give her money for this baby.
And then she complains about him not, seeing the child. It's like, you moved away, don't complain.
And she didn't even try it. She didn't even give it. And I understand, like, I would feel the same way. If I didn't know a guy, I would feel uncomfortable moving. I would certainly feel uncomfortable moving into a house with strangers, but I would have to put my comfort and my feelings aside to do what's best for my child. At least try to see if it was a livable situation, which she didn't do at all.
Exactly. So moving on to the next girl. Autumn and her boyfriend, they obviously like to blend in with the scenery because they like to wear camouflage. I mean, her sister was wearing camouflage.
She literally had on camouflage every day. Like the whole time she was pregnant, after she was pregnant, every day. It got to the point where I didn't even want to watch the episode anymore because it was just so ugly and intrusive. It was just like, really? But she has this boyfriend, Dustin, or the father of her child, who is, first of all, these people are extremely country. Country as country can be.
Where were they from?
Virginia. So, Autumn and her boyfriend, Justin, are from Virginia and very country, to say the least. And so her boyfriend is extremely into drugs, and that's to the point where they're giving him drug tests and he's having a loud outburst at a restaurant talking about if somebody comes to his house with an ounce of drugs, he's gonna smoke it. And he don't care if he got a baby or not. And he is loud and yelling at his mother and the mother of his girlfriend, like he is going off talking about, I'm gonna do drugs. He almost reminded me of what is her name?
Janelle?
Yes, he almost reminded me of Janelle. He was adamant that he was not going to stop doing drugs.
He sure was.
And so, but he did a switch up, and he did stop doing drugs. They even gave him a drug test.
And he also got a job.
Which he went about getting a job in the ghettoest way ever. He was like sitting there like, hello, are y'all hiring?
Right. I'm like, how you going to apply? Like, I don't care if you're on the phone or not. Like, you still have to be presentable.
He did not he did not even seem a little bit enthusiastic or interested. He was like, hello, y'all hiring?
Can I speak to the manager up in this piece? Like, can I get a bucket?
No, he didn't sound like that. He sounded extremely country, but he managed to get a job that way anyway. Right. Now, let me try to get a job like that. I bet you I don't get one. But anyway, he gets a job, and then he starts working. She has the baby. He ends up getting this job at like a bike shop. He actually got a pretty good job for his attitude. I was actually shocked. He got a pretty decent job. He starts working, and she has the baby. He's there for one night, and then he never comes around again. She has to take the baby to him, and she's like, okay, well, can you buy diapers? Can you give me some money? He gives her $1.50, literally $1.50.
That really pissed me off. Like, the baby's sitting there holding the money, like.
He was like, this is your first and only dollar your daddy ever gave you. It was just terrible. And he's like complaining and telling her that he can't give her money because he only makes like $200 or $300 or $40 a day. So
like, at least buy some diapers, something.
Okay, but if you make $40 a day, you work 5 days a week, you're making what, $200 a week. So $200 a week is gonna add up to $800 a month. So you can't give any money to your kid?
Deadbeat daddy. So basically, she had to go to the court and, you know, get paternal rights. So what else happened?
So file child support, and she just was really upset because she felt like they were going to be together, and it was just a sad ending. So he ended up being a deadbeat. Moving on to Molina.
Little redhead girl.
Cute little redhead girl who has had a troubled upbringing simply because her mom is a hardcore drug addict and her dad has been in and out of her life. So she now lives with her grandma, who, you know, seems to be a pretty good grandma. And she has her boyfriend, who they seem to be two peas in a pod and they really care about each other. But as her pregnancy progresses, the mother of her boyfriend is very much pushing her to try to move in with them because she feels like she just doesn't want the baby to be around her mother that's, you know, the drug addict in and out of jail, although the mother's in jail, so I don't even see.
I think she just feels like she'll do the best job, I guess, over her grandmother or whatever. As a better caregiver.
Bashing her mom and, you know, just making these comments about her mom was a horrible person because she chose drugs over her kids, which, you know, she made some points, but at the same time, what people don't understand is, no matter what your mother does in life, no matter if your mother is the most abusive, does all the drugs in the world, gave you up for adoption, sold you down the river, that's your mother. Period. You're not gonna ever, most people are not gonna ever let somebody badmouth their mother and just be okay with it and just, okay, well, every time I come around you, you're just talking about my mother, because at the end of the day, that's her mom. So she's always gonna hold, no matter, and we even saw this on Teen Mom with Caitlyn, even though her mother has problems and she says bad stuff about her mother all the time, the moment her mother called and tried to come back in her life, she opened herself back up to that. But anyway, that's her mom. So she's constantly getting upset when this lady's talking about her mother. And then not to mention, she has her own problems. She has health issues. She has a seizure disorder and she's emotionally imbalanced. So she always would say, you know, that you can come live with me and I'll keep the baby. And so finally she was just like, you know, I don't feel comfortable leaving my baby with you because, you know, it's nothing personal against you, but I feel like, you know, you might have a seizure, something might happen, you might drop him, anything can happen, and I would just be more comfortable if I was with you with the baby. She flips out, she starts yelling and going off on her, so she leaves and she feels uncomfortable going back to her house. So after the baby is born, you know, she lets the lady see the baby in the hospital, but after that, she really won't let the baby go over to her house. So she ends up taking her baby to see her mom when her mom has the court hearing and the baby gets sick. So she doesn't take the baby to the boyfriend's house because he lives with his mom, and her boyfriend's mother just keeps calling and harassing her about the baby. So the baby hasn't seen its father or its grandmother since it was born. And so she finally takes the baby over there with her dad, which was weird because she went with her father to visit the baby's father and this sounds really confusing. The baby's father and the grandmother, and all three of them, her father, the father of her son, and the child's grandmother are ganging up on her and basically saying your mother's a deadbeat and you should have never took your baby to go see her because she made her own decisions and now the baby is sick and you're not making the right decisions and blah blah blah. So she gets really frustrated. So long story short, it's not really working out between her and the father of her son, because their families keep getting in the middle of it. So that's basically how the episode ends. That was the last 3 episodes of 16 and Pregnant. This season so far has been pretty good. So I look forward to seeing the next episodes. So stay tuned if you want to see more 16 and Pregnant. Comment below if you have any shows you want us to check out.
Or any videos you want us to do videos.
And as you can see, we totally love MTV and we're totally stoked about next week because catfish. Bye.
Bye.